Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the mysteries the world often overlooks. Today, we're tackling a massive topic, UFO evidence. For decades, strange sightings, unexplained phenomena, and credible witness testimonies have been dismissed, ridiculed, or buried under layers of official denial. But what if the proof has been hiding in plain sight all along? Let's explore some of the most compelling pieces of alien evidence that the world chose to ignore. Our journey begins in 1947, Roswell, New Mexico. The official story? A weather balloon crashed. But the initial reports from the Roswell Army Airfield itself mentioned a flying disc. Witnesses, including high-ranking military personnel like Major Jesse Marcel, insisted what they handled was not of this world. They described incredibly light yet impossibly strong I-beams with strange hieroglyphic-like markings. These first-hand accounts were quickly silenced and replaced with the weather balloon narrative. Decades later, many of those involved came forward, sticking to their original stories, risking their reputations to tell the truth. Was this a simple misidentification or the beginning of one of the biggest cover-ups in history? Let's fast forward to the 1960s, the height of the Cold War. Project Blue Book was the US Air Force's official study into UFOs. While it concluded that most sightings were misidentifications of known objects or natural phenomena, it left over 700 cases as unidentified. Think about that. An official government investigation couldn't explain hundreds of encounters. One of the most famous cases is the 1964 Socorro incident, where a trusted police officer, Lonnie Zamora, witnessed a metallic, egg-shaped craft land. He saw two small beings in white coveralls before the craft took off with a deafening roar, leaving behind physical landing impressions and burnt vegetation. The FBI and Project Blue Book investigated, and even the head of the project, J. Allen Hynek, a noted skeptic at the time, admitted it was one of the most baffling cases he'd ever seen. Yet, it was filed away. Another unexplained anomaly the public was encouraged to forget. Now, let's talk about physical evidence. In 1991, in the small town of Ubatuba, Brazil, fragments of metal reportedly fell from an exploding UFO. These fragments were analyzed by multiple laboratories over the years. The results were astounding. The metal was magnesium of a purity that was, at the time, impossible for humans to manufacture. Later tests confirmed its unusual isotopic composition. Skeptics argue there are earthly explanations, but the consistency of the reports and the strangeness of the material itself make the Ubatuba fragments a piece of physical evidence that is very hard to dismiss. Why wasn't this front-page news around the world? Perhaps because tangible proof is much harder to control than just a story. Moving into the 1990s, we have the Phoenix Lights. On March 13, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona, including the state governor, Fife Symington, witnessed a massive V-shaped craft glide silently over the city. It was enormous, blocking out the stars as it passed. The military's explanation was flares dropped from a training exercise, but this doesn't match the testimony of thousands of witnesses who saw a solid object moving intelligently. Governor Symington initially mocked the incident at a press conference, but later came clean, admitting he too saw the craft and believed it was otherworldly. He said he tried to be reassuring at the time, but the official explanation was a lie. When a respected public official risks his legacy to call out a cover-up, we have to ask why. And it's not just the United States. In 1980, Britain had its own Roswell, the Rendlesham Forest incident. Over several nights, US Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge witnessed strange lights descending into the nearby forest. A security patrol, led by Sergeant Jim Penniston, went to investigate. They found a triangular craft on the ground. Penniston even got close enough to touch it, describing the surface as smooth and warm, covered in strange symbols. The next day, landing impressions and higher than normal radiation levels were found at the site. The deputy base commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, even recorded an audio tape as he and his team witnessed the object again, firing beams of light down at the base. This is a case with multiple military witnesses, physical trace evidence, and official documentation, including the famous Holt Memo. Yet for years the British Ministry of Defence downplayed the event, classifying it as having no defence significance. The evidence continues to mount even in our modern era. In 2004, the USS Nimitz, a state-of-the-art aircraft carrier group, encountered what's now famously known as the Tic Tac UFO. Elite fighter pilots like Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich engaged with an object that defied our understanding of physics. It had no visible propulsion, no wings, and performed maneuvers impossible for any known aircraft, dropping from 80,000 feet to just above the water in seconds. This wasn't a blurry photo. It was tracked on multiple advanced radar systems and witnessed by some of the best trained pilots in the world. For 13 years, this incredible encounter was kept under wraps, only coming to light in 2017 when the footage was leaked to the public. It forced the Pentagon to finally admit they have a program to study these unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. This admission changed everything. The stigma that has surrounded this topic for so long is finally starting to crumble. We now have credible military personnel, intelligence officers like Luis Elizondo, who ran the Pentagon's UAP program, and even former presidents acknowledging that there are things in our skies we cannot explain. These aren't just stories from conspiracy theorists anymore. They are documented events backed by radar data, gun camera footage, and the testimony of highly reliable observers. From the scorched earth of Socorro to the silent giant over Phoenix and the physics-defying Tic Tacs over the Pacific, the evidence has always been there. It wasn't that there was no proof, it's that the world, guided by official narratives and a culture of ridicule, chose to look the other way. So, what does this all mean? The pieces are all there, forming a puzzle that's getting harder and harder to ignore. We have consistent sightings across decades and continents, physical trace evidence, and now official acknowledgement from governments that they are taking this seriously. The question is no longer, are UFOs real? The question is, what are they, and who is piloting them? The evidence that was once ignored is now demanding our attention. The truth, as they say, is out there, and it seems we're finally getting closer to finding it. What do you think is the most compelling piece of evidence? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of UFOs. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more of the world's greatest mysteries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.